Hello there guys, Palermo10,000 here, bringing you episode 22 of Rate Their Chances, the series where we rate the chances for potential newcomers making it into the base roster for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, as inspired by the thread of the same name over on Smashboards, which you can find in the description. If you want to see if your favourite character has already been rated, and chances are they have, check the card in the top right corner for a link to the series playlist, or check the description for a spreadsheet that details all my ratings, re-rates, and more. Yesterday was an odd day for the channel. Fun picture leak, crazy lip sync, emotional blog that I've been meaning to do for a while, and a Golden Sun stream where I may have drunk a glass of wine. But today is a new day, and it's time to get back to the grind of rating your chosen characters on an arbitrary scale that ultimately comes down to my own educated opinions. Today's 5 characters we will be rating are Toon Zelda, Tetra from the Legend of Zelda series, suggested by oh my god, they killed Kenny. Terra from the Final Fantasy series, suggested by Jose Carlos Bernardi. Captain Syrup from the Wario Land series, suggested by Craig Spinelli. Cranky Kong from the Donkey Kong series, suggested by Vedrana Penovic. And Gunvolt from Azure Striker Gunvolt, suggested by the YouTube channel that doesn't upload. Before we begin, keep in mind that if you want to see your favourite character rated on the show, make sure to leave a comment with your character in the comments below. The highest like comment will instantly be selected next week, and the rest are selected via a YouTube comment randomizer from this video, so good luck! Without further ado, let us begin. Starting off the episode with a Legend of Zelda character, how I wish I could start off every episode, mind you. Tetra, or Toon Zelda, is a character that debuted in The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker and continued her role in The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass. In Spirit Tracks, an ancestor of Tetra appeared as that game's Toon Zelda. Tetra has since been a fan-favourite character who received her own character in Hyrule Warriors, and has cemented herself as a mainstay of the franchise. Tetra was actually so popular that she was planned for Super Smash Bros. Brawl as one of the Forbidden 7, a set of characters who didn't make it into the game but whose files had been found after the game's launch. Why she didn't make the cut, we'll never know, but is she going to get a chance to join the fight in Ultimate? To start with, we have to figure out whether we're getting Toon Zelda or Tetra. This is important, as while they are both the same character canonically, they are radically different in appearance and skills. Tetra is a swashbuckling pirate who uses a classic cutlass to get things done, along with a trusty pistol, and could bring a unique moveset that derives from classic pirates of old that could be both acrobatic and exciting. However, if we get Toon Zelda, we'll be getting a more traditional moveset that will probably end up being similar to the Zelda we currently have in-game, perhaps even a toonified variation of that same moveset with a few extra tweaks. Whether people would enjoy that though, I'm not sure. A major complaint from Zelda fans about the representation in the roster for their franchise is that we have had 3 different Link clones, 2 Zelda characters, although they are quite different in their abilities, and a sole Ganondorf, who started out as a Captain Falcon clone. While Tetra or Toon Zelda are another Zelda to add to the mix, Tetra would at least bring about an interesting moveset that would make her likable to fans, while Toon Zelda might get a bit of hate for being just that, Toon Zelda. Luckily for Toon Zelda haters, the chances of this character getting into the roster do not seem that high to begin with. Neither character had a substantial support or push during the era of the ballot, and it's quite telling that the character was not considered for Smash 4 after being considering for Smash Brawl. Even now, while I do see some demand for Tetra if I know where to look, that's few and far between when compared to more popular characters. And while you can make the argument that popularity now does not matter due to the roster being picked around early 2016, I actually disagree. You see, it's very clear that the ballot is being used to pick a lot of the newcomers we're seeing, and think about it. The characters who did have ballot support have been gaining traction again now in 2018, as those fans who voted for them are becoming more vocal. Fans are naturally talking about who they voted for in the Smash ballot, and thus many of the characters on the scene now can reflect where the votes went back in 2015. So, with all of this in mind, Tetra/Toon Zelda gets a chance score of 5%. The main reason for them not being 1% or 0% is simply due to their status as having been considered before, as Sakurai has been making an effort to bring back old mechanics and characters like Sukapon as an assist trophy, for example. Perhaps he could very well surprise us. As for a want score, Tetra gets a 75% if we get the Tetra moveset, and a 20% if we get the Zelda moveset. I really don't want another clone character to join the Zelda roster, and that's the truth. After Sephiroth last week, I think the Final Fantasy floodgates have been thrown open in terms of suggestions for the show. Not that I'm complaining though, Final Fantasy has a whole host of characters who could join the fight, and as long as the character isn't a side character or a party member that has no real relation to the plot, I think they could all feasibly make it under the right circumstances. That being said, rating characters from Final Fantasy VI is a hard call, as there's no main character, so to speak. You change characters and party members throughout the game, so no one character is ever as important as the rest from a gameplay standpoint, to the point where some of these characters even can be considered missable once the game hits overdrive. That being said, if someone were to suggest a main character for Final Fantasy VI, I think the majority of players would choose Terra Branford, the first playable character in the game. A half-Esper, Terra is a powerful character in her own right, and a main character in the story of the game. She has your standard Final Fantasy powers, of course, but has Esper abilities as well, which help to differentiate herself from characters like Locke or Celeste. It also helps that of all the characters in Final Fantasy VI, she's the only one to have her own dedicated Wikipedia page. So, the big question, is Terra Branford a potential character to join the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate cast? Well, I won't lie. As much as I'd adore Terra, not only for her inclusion, but for the fact that it opens the door for Kefka, I'm not too hot on her chances in the slightest. You see, the Final Fantasy representation in Smash thus far has only been referenced by Final Fantasy VII content, with that fact being blatantly shown off by the series logo being the logo from Final Fantasy VII as represented in Smash. I think it's safe to infer that Sakurai and the team want to keep the Final Fantasy series grounded with the 7th installment, which naturally puts characters from other games in the series at a big disadvantage. And as mentioned before, Terra is part of a large ensemble cast in Final Fantasy VI. She did have a breakout solo role in the Dissidia series, though it made sense that the person facing Kefka was Terra in that instance. And with only 2 music tracks in the game so far according to the August Direct, it makes the reveal of a character from a different Final Fantasy game who would require different audio tracks possibly impossible. So with that in mind, Terra Branford gets a 0% chance score. I can stake that she won't make the base roster, and if she does, I will actually be shocked, as it throws everything we know about the Final Fantasy series so far for a loop. But as for a want score, Terra gets an 85%. I really enjoyed Final Fantasy VI, it's my favorite in the series, and Terra was a brilliant character to boot. So I'd be fine with her in the roster, 85%. Captain Syrup? Honestly, this character was someone I had no clue about until I heard people mentioning her name in the YouTube comments of these Rate Their Chances videos, so I had her written off as an unimportant character, so to speak. I had no idea that she was practically the main antagonist of the Wario Land series, nor that she was apparently as popular as she was. That being said, popular is a broad term. Being the main antagonist of the Wario Land games, she's the leader of a band of thieves and constantly butts heads with Wario, truly a tragic fate if I do say so myself. She's quite the inventor, often fighting in various machines that she's tinkered up as opposed to doing the dirty work herself, going so far as to even summon a genie at one point to try and date down Wario. Now, Captain Syrup to me feels like an Eggman-style character, someone who isn't seen much fighting on their own, and is more of an excuse for crazy weapons and machines that can be used against Wario. As such, I hesitate to say that she would be a good character, because she doesn't show any abilities when fighting with hand-to-hand combat, and I feel a character of her posture and stature wouldn't do well in a Bowser Jr. style role. On top of this, she's practically non-existent when it comes to 2015 ballot support, which will certainly harm her chances, given she's a character from the Wario Land series, which has been dormant for 10 years now. Hell, Wario officially is a WarioWare character according to the website, so Captain Syrup's home franchise isn't even represented by its main character. That's not a good look for her. While I see requests for her here and there, her popularity is somewhat overstated, and that will reflect in my overall scores. Because for a chance score, she's getting a big ol' 0%. It's not happening this time around. She's not going to be base game, and DLC is a very small hope. Unless she gets a resurgence through a new Wario Land game, I don't see her having any shot at ever being a character in Smash. Full stop. As for a want score, I'll give her my usual 50% for characters I simply don't have an opinion on, as I can't hate her or like her either way. Honestly, with King K Rool added to the roster and a potential Dixie echo possibly on the way, I'm surprised there's even more demand for DK characters. I always felt King K Rool was the big guy, but there are some of you out there who would like to see more characters represented, and who am I to refuse a request? Cranky Kong is a rather unique choice in that he actually wouldn't simply represent the Cranky Kong character, but the original arcade Donkey Kong character as well, as he is the original Donkey Kong, just much older. Let's ignore that Mario and Pauline didn't age at all in that time. Just because of his age though, that doesn't mean he can't fight or move. Just look at Tropical Freeze, where he makes his first playable appearance in the mainline Donkey Kong Country games. And he's a pretty strong geezer, able to use his cane to bounce on spikes, defeat specific enemies, and more. Imagine Shovel Knight's pogo stick move, but with Cranky Kong, and you've got the best joke character of all time. But real talk, Cranky Kong's character chances are non-existent at this moment in time. And why is that? Well, he's not going to get into the game before Dixie, who was planned for Brawl and could potentially still be echoed. And if Dixie does get into the base game, that'll be 2 new DK representatives, and I doubt Sakurai will add a third when there are more franchises that need work during development, both for newcomers and veterans. It's more common sense if anything. Cranky still has his cameo in Jungle Japes after all, and I'm sure he'll appear as a trophy yet again, but it feels like the DK train has left the station and Cranky's been left behind again. So with that in mind, Cranky gets a chance score of 0%. Who knows what could happen during potential DLC, but for the base game, he's not making it any further. And honestly, for a want score, he gets a 35%. He'd be a hilarious joke character, but that's about it. I don't think he'd bring much new to the table, and I probably wouldn't play as him much if he was in-game aside from quiet event matches or the obligatory classic mode run. Okay, gonna start this segment by saying that even the support thread on Smashboards is aware that Gunvolt has no shot in hell at making it into the base roster, and I echo that statement. This is an indie character who is less popular than fellow indie character Shovel Knight, who only made it as an assist trophy, so setting the scene here, guys. That being said, Gunvolt is a unique character who could certainly provide moveset potential. Being from a Nintendo-only franchise, and the protagonist to boot, Gunvolt has power over electricity, allowing for a variety of different moves and mechanics within his home game. He comes from a rather dark universe that has a variety of unique locales that we haven't seen in Smash yet, being a futuristic Earth that's eerily reminiscent of classic films like Blade Runner or games like Transistor. The series has a catchy soundtrack as well, featuring various different themes to get the blood pumping. That being said, we already know that the biggest indie character who is currently confirmed for the game right now is Shovel Knight, and I think if any indie character is going to contest him for a playable spot, it's not Gunvolt, but someone like Shantae or Quote, characters that have been around much longer. Recency is not this character's friend, but the Nintendo exclusivity is a ticket that certainly gives Gunvolt a leg up come a potential Smash 6. If the Gunvolt games continue to be produced and Gunvolt isn't dropped from the public eye as a character, he might have a shot in the future, but with Ultimate, it really is not his time, though at least his developers really would like to see it happen. Gunvolt gets a 0% chance and a 70% want. Unique and interesting design, marred by the simple fact that the character is, for lack of a better term, unimportant compared to the All-Stars battling for a spot on the roster this time round. It's not a knock against him or his fans, but I think even you guys are self-aware enough to see the writing on the wall for what it is. So that is today's episode of Rate Their Chances. I hope you guys enjoyed. I gave out a lot of 0% there, but I'm being brutally honest, we're getting down to the wire. There's not a lot of character spaces left, I've gotta be honest. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.